Good morning and welcome to the Morning Scoop for Monday, August 30th. This is your daily Buckeye fix. I'm Tom Orr. The Minnesota game is in 3 days. The game against Michigan in 89 days. This is not a drill. The Buckeyes play on Thursday night in Minnesota, just 3 days away. The world premiere of Fight for Football, Saving the 2020 Season is tonight in Columbus. Oh, and there's some potentially major news developing on the recruiting front. Maybe Ohio State, one of the nation's absolute best pass rushers. That might be interesting to talk about. My guest today is Buckeye Scoop recruiting analyst Marc Givler, who just spent pretty much the whole weekend scouting elite high school football players all over the region. Marc, thank you for joining me.
Yes, sir. Good to be here.
So let's start with tonight's big movie premiere, big world premiere tonight. We were originally planning to have this just be an event for the Buckeye Scoop members, but then we had enough of them sign up to see it that we had to bump it up to a bigger theater. So now we have a few extra seats remaining for the big theater tonight. Let people know what they will get to see tonight if they come get tickets for Fight for Football, Saving the 2020 Season.
Yeah, we're going to do a showing of the first cut of the film. That'll be about an hour, give or take a few minutes. So everyone will get a chance. We'll be the first people to see it. I have not seen it yet, so everyone's going to get to see it for the first time together. And then we're going to do probably about an hour-long Q&A afterwards. You can ask questions about the film. You can ask questions about recruiting. You can ask questions about Ohio State, whatever you want to talk about. We'll have a bunch of our staff there to answer questions and to kind of interact and socialize with everyone who comes out.
I think this is going to be the most Buckeye Scoop staff members that have ever been in one place at one time, at least since the site launched, because there are people there tonight who I have not yet met in person. So I am very excited to do that. Got Dominique Smith flying up from Florida. I mean, we've got a ton of people coming in. This is going to be a fun event. I have seen the film. I'm not going to spoil anything. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I got to review a cut of the film earlier in the weekend just to kind of, make sure everything looked good. Everything looks good. It's pretty entertaining. I think you guys will like it. So if you would like to be a part of that event, just go to fightforfootball.com, click on the ticketing link to get seats. That'll just take you to the Eventbrite page where you can buy those tickets. We will also have that link in the front page post for this podcast at buckeyescoop.com. So we'll make it as easy as possible for you. But there are a few seats left because we did bump it up to a bigger theater. So if you'd like to join us, it should be an awesome night. Hope to see you there. Let's talk a little recruiting now, Marc. You spent the whole weekend watching some very big name players, including Friday night, Enai White. 247 has him listed as the number 6 overall player in the class of 2022. Ohio State recruiting him as a 4-3, like hand in the dirt guy. Other schools are looking at him as like a 3-4 outside linebacker. You got to see him play in person on Friday. So does he look like more of one or the other to you? And where do you think Ohio State stands with him right now?
I mean, I think he could definitely play either, obviously. I mean, when we're talking about Alabama kind of recruiting him as an outside linebacker or a Georgia kind of, they're still essentially recruiting him as a stand-up pass rusher. It's not like they're going to be asking him to do a lot of dropping back into coverage or anything like that. So I think everyone kind of views him as a pass rusher. But obviously we're talking about different schemes and different needs and things like that. But I think for sure at Ohio State, for example, he because I think that's probably one of the only teams recruiting him. It's a 4-3 team, or that's at least in the game at this point. I guess Oregon would be as well. But yeah, I mean, I think he could absolutely bulk up and play defensive end at a place like Ohio State. The guy he reminds me of is Josh Sweat when Josh was coming out of Virginia. And obviously he had a kind of a horrific leg injury, but is still turned himself into an NFL player, is actually doing very well right now with the Philadelphia Eagles. So that's the kind of body type I see. Josh Sweat was not a huge guy coming out of high school. That was a guy who I think everyone knew had 20 or 30 pounds at least they needed to put on. And he was able to do that and play with a hand in the dirt. That's what I see out of Enai White. He's got some technical stuff. He's got to get stronger, but his length, his first step, there was a play. He didn't quite make the sack. He just kind of ended up just being a pressure and got a piece of the quarterback and he threw it away, but he was able to dip his inside shoulder. And it looked like he was like 3 inches off the ground. There's no rhyme or reason for a 6'5" human to be able to get that low and still run and turn the corner the way he did. So there were a couple of wow moments there. Made the game saving tackle in the backfield to get a turnover on downs so that his team could run out the clock. So came up big there. And just a great talent, the type of guy that you think, man, if someone like Larry Johnson could get a hold of him for a couple of years, that could be a special player in a few years.
Larry Johnson would obviously like to get a hold of him for a couple of years. Do you have any sense for how likely it is that he will go on and end up playing for Larry Johnson? You have a sense for where that stands right now?
Yeah, I think they've picked up some momentum here. I didn't like their chances before the official visit back in June. Back in the spring, early summer, he looked pretty set on kind of playing more of an outside linebacker, more of a stand-up rush end, maybe not so keen on putting a hand in the dirt. That seemed to change a little bit on the official visit. Ohio State kind of sat him down and said, we think you're a true defensive end. Here's why. Here's some film showing you why. And just really kind of hammering that home. And he seems much more open to that idea now. And I think that's a really big thing because I think based on relationships, I think Larry Johnson is probably his favorite defensive line coach that is recruiting him at this point. And so if they can beat the scheme hurdle, that's the key because it's kind of right now, it's that battle. You've got the relationship with Larry Johnson, but now you've got to win the argument on scheme. And if they can do that, they can get him. Now, he's going to take a bunch of unofficial visits here this fall. I think he's got one official left in his pocket he can take, which might go to Oregon. But there's some time here, I think, both for Ohio State to continue to work their angles and also for other schools to pull him away. I don't think this is anything that's going to end, in the next couple of weeks. I think he's going to take more visits, and that always leads to some volatility. But I think they're up there. I think they're in a much better position today than they were, June 1st.
It's interesting that scheme might work against them here and for Alabama. Maybe when with the JT Tuimoloau recruitment, it was the opposite. It was Alabama's scheme potentially working against them, and that might have been what helped tip the balance towards Ohio State. So very, very interesting always to see the all the different moving parts in all these different recruitments. Saturday, you got to see Tariq Robinson. He was an elite prospect out of the Pittsburgh area. Camped at Ohio State this summer. I looked him up on 247. He's listed as a safety, but I remember sitting inside the WAC and watching him work out with Al Washington in a small group at one point. So I'm assuming that means the Buckeyes don't necessarily see him as a safety at the next level. How did he look this weekend when you get to see him?
Yeah, so he, he's kind of more athlete right now. I think he's done so many different things that I think he maybe hasn't had a chance to settle in at one position. He's certainly outgrown safety at this point and was playing outside linebacker, but so he was in coverage a little bit, but played a lot up by the line of scrimmage as almost a stand-up pass rusher. Very athletic, super physically imposing, 6'3", probably. He looks about 6'3", 220 to me. He looks super impressive physically. Made a couple of really nice, impressive plays in terms of just pure athleticism, being able to chase down a running back from the backside, or just a burst or quickness that at a kid that size that was really impressive. The awareness, just the polish is not quite there yet. So I think that's something to kind of monitor here as far as Ohio State goes. They're probably going to want to see maybe a little more production, I guess, on film, because I know they're going to be looking at the junior film of all these guys and kind of trying to establish their pecking order here. But all the physical tools are there, and it's just kind of a matter of, just working and kind of refining some of the things that you need to do at linebacker.
So that was your Friday, and then your Saturday. Then Sunday, you got to watch IMG Academy out of Florida while they visited Ohio this weekend. Very convenient for you. They were playing the definitely real Bishop Sycamore program. IMG was, as always, loaded with talent, including 2023 wide receiver Carnell Tate, who will be announcing his decision in about a month. I saw on Sunday night on our board that Bill Green comped him to Jackson Smith and Jigba, which I'm sure Brian Hartline would be okay with if that was the outcome there. But what did you see out of Carnell Tate, and do you have any sense, any further idea where that may be headed in terms of a recruitment?
Yeah, obviously he's going to release a top 5, is what he told me after the game. He's going to release a top 5 between now and his decision date at some point. So there will be some other teams listed, but it really is Ohio State or Notre Dame. I think it's going to be Ohio State. He certainly was playing to the crowd a little bit, threw up a couple OHs, including one after a phenomenal touchdown. He had 2 phenomenal touchdown catches here on Sunday. So really impressive player. Love how he plays the ball in the air, but love that he's not only quick and explosive after the catch, he is physical. He ran over 3 guys on his second touchdown, just ran right through them. And he's not a physically imposing kid at this point. He's still pretty lanky. He's still pretty skinny. He's got some weight to put on. So when he puts on 15 pounds, he is going to be a bear to tackle. I was really impressed. Can he play in the slot? I know, the thing right now is Brian Hartline's recruiting a lot of guys who can play kind of every position. Is Carnell Tate a slot guy? I mean, maybe he certainly looked quick enough. He's not maybe built like your prototype slot guy, but just crazy the plays he made on the outside in that game against Bishop Sycamore. And, he's a top 100 guy. That ranking certainly makes sense to me. It might be a top 50 guy. I mean, he's really impressive.
So we mentioned Carnell Tate there. IMG is always obviously just like loaded. It's just like, oh, there's an Alabama commit playing here, and then there's a Clemson commit playing here, and then next to them is a guy who's going to go to either Alabama or Clemson or Ohio State. And next to that, it's just like all the way across the field. Like, this is not a normal high school football program. So who were some of the other IMG guys you were most interested in seeing, from at least from an Ohio State perspective?
Yeah, they just offered Stacey Gage, 2024 running back. He's backing up Katron Allen, who's obviously their outstanding senior running back. And, I've seen Katron before, but watching them both kind of on the same day in the same field, I think Gage is going to be the better long-term prospect. He's more explosive. He's faster. He's quicker. He had one of the best 3-yard runs you'll ever see. Yeah, run from the 8 to the 5. There's not a whole lot of runs where you start at the 8 and you end up at the 5 and it's a highlight reel run, but I kind of thought it was. I think he made about 4 guys miss and then ran over another one to get those 3 yards. Great feet. Explosive kid. I think they just offered him after his opener where he had 100 yards and 2 touchdowns against American Heritage, which is obviously a great program. So to do that as you're not even the starting running back. So, they offered him after that. We'll see. He's a big Zeke Elliott guy. We'll see if that helps them at all. There's another kid there in 2024, Desmond Ricks, a corner who has not been offered yet. He might be their next big guy, their next like top 10 national prospect type of guy. Would love to have an offer from Ohio State. I would imagine that's going to be coming at some point. That'll be Ohio State, Clemson, SEC. All the big guns will be in that one. Malik Bryant, a 2023 edge prospect, another guy that actually visited Ohio State in June. I think that one's going to be a little bit tough, but they're definitely in the mix. They've got his attention, and we'll see. Like I said, I think it's going to be a little bit tough there, but it's a guy that they will battle for no matter what. It's one of those guys that they've identified early as, we're going to battle for him as long as he's uncommitted. So those are just a few. I mean, there's probably go down the list here a little bit more, but those are, I think, some of the key ones.
Well, the last weekend or over the weekend, you had week 0 games. It was like, okay, so college football is starting to get here. It didn't really didn't get like truly real to me though until Sunday morning when I got an email from you. Hey, we need your staff game predictions for the Minnesota game. I was like, oh man, like this really is almost here. And a few hours before we recorded this episode, I started packing my bag for the Minnesota trip. So yes, it really is almost here. We're going to be headed to Minnesota in just a couple days. So let's just do a little preview of that. We'll have plenty more shows. I don't know if I'm going to have you on again before the game because all of a sudden we're almost out of morning scoops before there's a game. Isn't that a nice problem to have? So what are you expecting from the Buckeyes this week? Do they play it a little closer to the vest than normal to protect CJ Stroud in his first career start and just, try and get out of there with a 10, 14-point win? Do they just kind of do it as they normally would do? Do they really cut it loose because they think they have an opportunity? Like, what are you expecting from the Buckeyes on Thursday in Minneapolis?
Well, I think there's 2 things that are going to impact that specifically in terms of what they're going to, let Stroud do. I think obviously one will be weather. It sounds like rain is at least a potential factor on Thursday. We'll see how that goes. And the other, I think, so, to really answer the question, I think they will let him cut it loose as long as it's not a monsoon and as long as he does okay with that. I mean, if you start to get into those situations where he gets a little bit loose with some throws there at the beginning, and there's some defenders' hands are getting on the football and things like that, you may have to dial it back a little bit. But I don't think they will go into the game limiting CJ Stroud. He's had a ton of reps here this offseason, and they've been moving forward with kind of him in the last few weeks as the guy. So I think they'll let him go. And, I think they'll come out and play really hard. I think the good thing they have going for them is I think that this defense has kind of got a chip on its shoulder. That they've had a lot of negative talk around them, really, throughout last season and of course all off season. A lot of the questions has been around how will the defense improve. So I think there's gonna be a chip on the shoulder there, and they're gonna be ready to prove something. I think that's gonna help. You got those weapons too on the outside. That's gonna be tough to stop those receivers. But this will be Minnesota's Super Bowl, and I'm sure the stadium's gonna be pretty crazy. So you just gotta I think you gotta weather that first 10 minutes or so. And if you do that, I think then it's the athletes take over.
I'm going to be very interested to see the what the crowd looks like on Thursday, because I saw, very, very surprising news from Minnesota. Ohio State returned tickets, which Ohio State never returns tickets. So it'll be interesting to see, maybe there are fewer Buckeye fans than normal for a road game. Maybe you don't have the complete takeover of the opponent stadium like you normally do from Ohio State. And there's a whole separate conversation. Is that because it's a Thursday night game? Is that because it's COVID stuff? Is that because people have decided, hey, watching football on TV is fine? That'll be something we'll have to watch throughout the year. But that was an interesting tweet. Saw that from Minnesota. They have more tickets now because Ohio State returned tickets. That doesn't normally happen. So that'll be interesting to see. Before I let you go, Mark, I did want to let you tell people about something new we have going on at BuckeyeScoop.com. The Build Your Bankroll Challenge. It's kind of a fun, different little twist on, kind of the normal college football pick'em thing. So with the season starting this week, seems like a great time for people to dive into that, let them know kind of what that is and how that'll work.
Yeah, we partnered with Play Action Pools. They run little office pools, things like that. So you start with, I believe it's $10,000 of play money, and it's free to play. You get $10,000 of play money, and you use that as you would at a sports book. You can bet on the point spread, you can bet on the over/under total, and you can even take the money line. Which if Ohio State's a 10-point favorite, you can take Ohio State just to win, and it's going to cost you a little bit more of your play money to win $100 than it would to just pick against the spread, but. Just a fun way for guys to kind of get into, or gals to get into the college football gambling thing without risking any of their own money. And we are going to do some prizes, I think, for the winners there at the end. We're still kind of figuring out what the best solution there is, but we will have some giveaways associated with it. And we have a thread pinned on our message board, and I will probably put out a tweet here from my account and from the Buckeye Scoop Twitter account here at some point in the next day or two, just kind of advertising it. But like I said, it's free to sign up, and it's all play money. And you get to, pick, and there's no limit. I guess that's the good thing. You don't have to pick, 5-6 games a week. If you want to put it all on one game, or you want to just, spread it out a little bit over 20 games, you can do whatever you want. There's no real rules to how many games you need to play. So it's fun. Great response. We had like 150 people sign up like the first day or something like that. It was crazy. So it's there's gonna be a lot of Buckeye fans in there, just kind of, throwing some fake money around.
Yeah, it will be a fun, that's always a fun, different way to kind of do a little bit of football betting without any real risk. And, with legalized sports gambling coming to Ohio, maybe this is a good way to find out if you're any good at it before you start doing it with real money. So that might be a good object lesson for everyone before they bet the farm and have it not go well. So I would not have bet on Nebraska to lose outright against Illinois over the weekend, but here we are, and that would not have gone well for me, but it would have gone better for me than it did for Scott Frost. So we all live, we all learn, we all love, we all move on with life. So that'll do it for today. Be sure to join us tonight. We hope we get to see all you guys tonight at the Lenox Theater at 7:00 for the world premiere of Fight for Football, Saving the 2020 Season. Again, you can get your tickets at fightforfootball.com. So that'll be an awesome night. Mark told you at the beginning of the show all about that. That should be a really, really fantastic show. And it is, I'm not just saying this, it is a really, really good film. You guys will really enjoy it. A lot of familiar faces in there that you'll probably enjoy seeing. So that'll be a good show. And then it's going to be, man, oh man, is this going to be a great week at BuckeyeScoop.com. We may have a new staff member in, 36 hours or so from now when you're hearing this. We may have someone on, let's say the Wednesday morning scoop this week who isn't on staff right now. I don't know who that could be, but it's going to be an exciting edition. I am really, really excited. And then Thursday, there's a game day. Oh boy, Ohio State football really is back. So it would be a great time to become a member at BuckeyeScoop.com. We have a fantastic team of insiders, a great community on our Ask the Insiders board. And you can be a part of it all for the low, low price of not that much. So price of a pizza, it's way better than pizza. And you won't gain any weight. So all good news there. And also make sure you do check out our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Buckeye Scoop. If you're watching on YouTube, at the end of this video, there's going to be a little thing that pops up with another video you can watch and also with a Buckeye Scoop logo. Just click on that and the Buckeye Scoop logo. That'll subscribe you to our YouTube channel. And then you get notified every time we post a new video this week. Every time we post a new video after that, we're going to have a ton of content. We've got interviews with Ryan Day and Ohio State players today. We're going to have all sorts of content from Minneapolis, pregame stuff, postgame stuff, interviews with players and coaches, so much more. All the stuff that Marc did this weekend with all the high school stuff, that's all there. You'll get notified every time we post a new video, so you never miss anything. It's entirely free. All you have to do is subscribe. So that seems like a pretty good deal for you. I'm not telling you how to live your life. I'm just saying. I'm not saying. I'm just saying. That's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.